It's already part 2, and we're now going to build the entire structure and weaponry for the Kagero class destroyer, Harekaze. Now, it's actually going to be pretty tricky and all, since I since never built a destroyer during the COVID-19 pandemic, but I think it will be simple enough since you can use a 3D model or some pictures. But we may use some cardboard paper and a lot of items around us. Now, the first thing we're going to do, what you're going to build, is actually going to be the main bridge, which is going to be nearly near the front of the ship. Now, we could mark those, but I think I know how to do it, since I've seen footages of the ship before. We just need to cut just one slab of cardboard, then we can wrap it around pretty easily.
Well, while you're actually building the bridge, it's important to actually have some blueprints or a 3D model of the ship digitally, so that you can actually search up on how high and width the bridge is. Simply actually use like 3D models, but otherwise I can just use like books to use it too. Well, you're seeing right now, actually create two pieces of cardboard actually stacked between each other separately, farther apart. So we actually add some cardboard paper around it on both sides, so I can just curve it around, since some destroyers actually have a curvier shape in the World War II times. With the bridge now being done, it may need also a lookout area and also a radar antenna too, so that you can look for the enemy ships in the Pacific. So we're going to build that and also the radar antenna too.
Finished with the section here, we also houses some of the lookout areas. We're now going to build a small antenna here, the antenna station, which also includes some of the entire structure here. So I cut this one up for a bit, and I bet we could just place it here on each side, and we had to do this like 3 more times actually.
When cutting and peeling, it's important to make sure you have it in the precise size and shape of how big of the antenna structure is supposed to be. Simply have to do it like very slowly, then just check it again.
We finished with the main bridge and also the main mast here. Now we gotta work on the rest of the structure here, starting with the first funnel. The Kagero class destroyers have actually had two funnels, one big one in the front, one shorter one near the middle actually. So we're now working on the big one, which also includes a torpedo launcher in the back.
Which we're first going to build is actually going to be the structure there where you actually hold some of the quarters. Also could hold the funnel there very easy too, before you can move on to the torpedoes behind it.
Make behind the funnels is going to be the torpedo launcher, since it's actually going to be pretty easy, since normally you'd be using like small pieces of paper. But what I do to make torpedo launchers like pretty easier is that we actually can use like small toothpicks right here, and we can actually fit it into a piece of cardboard. Then we just increase the height on the same size of the replica of our Kagero class destroyer. Basically like this, and once you stuff it inside, you just trim it out a bit. Make sure they're just the same size, and make sure to be careful of their ricochet. I usually adds some drips of glue on top of it.
Well, before attaching the torpedoes on top, we had to first add a structure on top of it because that houses some ammunition for the guns and also some torpedoes too. So on top of that will also be the torpedo launchers because you need to have a higher space for them to be loaded and launched in the water actually in real life.
First have a Kagero class destroyer. Definitely looks like the original ship, which includes the bridge, the first funnel, and also the torpedo launchers. We'll move on tomorrow, which day 2 of our build, which we're going to continue on with the other half of our ship, which we're going to include the second funnel, another torpedo launcher, and another structure area where later we get add most of the artillery here. What we're going to make the second funnel is that we're going to make it a bit shorter actually, because when looking at the Kagero class destroyers funnels, they're actually in different sizes, but remains the same width actually. So we're gonna make one that's pretty shorter, but with the same width as the first one. now done, we begin working on the smaller anti-aircraft structure. While the ship does have some small anti-aircraft guns around it, including in front there are actually some other ones right here, while the other ones also houses the mines for submarines.
Well, I was only able to see some of the anti-aircraft guns on the second phone nearby, since that was the only shot that showed the anti-aircraft guns in the anime series. Also behind the second funnel was also a searchlight platform to look for any survivors in the back. Behind the searchlight platform was also another torpedo launcher we had to build with the same steps as we did to the first one.
Right now we're about to build the another structure area where the ammunition as well as a few smaller artillery guns are added up.
With the structure build now done, it's time to make it look like realistic. Now, to make it actually look realistic, you actually cut part of it off, which I made like the same size length of the entire structure, what it looks like in the past, but I had to shave up a little bit so I could actually add a triangle shape, also to fill with the 5-inch caliber guns.
Alright, the last piece now done. Add a little bit. Yep, that's definitely our ship. Whew, mostly done. Now we begin adding the final detail, which includes the artillery and also the armament. The torpedo launchers are the first part of the Kagero class destroyer's armament, but we're actually going to make 3 more left, that being the 5-inch caliber guns. Originally, the Kagero class destroyers actually have Type 3 127mm guns, dual purpose mostly, on both one at the front and 2 at the stern. However, for the final scene of the Harekaze, facing out the Masashi, which by the way was the Yamato class battleship, the Harekaze will need more firepower and rapid fire support, so they choose the 5-inch caliber guns, single barrel mostly. Make sure they don't overlap like the torpedo launchers, so we had to make the barrels mostly short. Alright, this is what the example of the 5-inch caliber gun is, even though it's not that small, but definitely it looks like it to scale. Now we gotta do it like 2 more times. Ourselves 3 5-inch caliber guns that we fit on a Kagero class destroyer. Whew, doing this for a few hours, but we're finally done with the main armament and artillery. Now we'll move on all the way to day 3, which we're going to be continuing on with painting of the model and adding some few finishing touches and final detailing to showcase the ship for the 10th anniversary of the high school fleet. And we'll stay tuned for that. So, if you like this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notification bells. Stay tuned for more videos. Also, leave a comment down below, and I'll see y'all in the future. Bye.